Well, hello everyone. I hope the audio is working out because apparently the theme music wasn't working out.
I thought it was choppy.
How's the audio coming along?
Hey, I
Yeah.
want to share something, and I want you to share yours right after I share mine. So I got this cool gift. It's a pink octopus. I know she's probably sent you something as well. Check it out. It's really cool, and I got this long letter. The letter is beautiful. I want to read me parts of yours as well. I'm going to read you mine, like little stuff like I painted this octopus for you, and it's in your favorite color. It goes on and on. It just talks about I'm a huge fan, and you create safety. And the end says I'm a big fan. Shannon from California. So she loves us, apparently. I mean, she's a huge Dive Talk fan of both of us.
I don't know about Dive Talk fan.
What did you get?
I would say Dive Talk fan is a little bit of a stretch because I checked the box that rock came in, and this was.
It's cool. Thank you.
This is what I got.
There wasn't anything else in there. Did you get a? Did you get a card?
No.
A note, a long one?
No.
Oh, sorry about that, but thank you, Shannon, and that's why I'm wearing this pink octopus hat today. Hello, everybody. It's been a while. We both have been crazy busy. Some cool videos are coming out. We're back, and I'm just happy to say hi to everybody.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Gus. Haven't seen you in a while
Thank you,
buddy.
It's been a while. Yeah, and our videos obviously reflect that. Some people are asking, like, what's going on with the lack of videos? It's like we're busy. I was out on vacation last week. Like we've been pretty busy.
Oh, really? I was working. You do a lot of vacation. That's cool.
Okay.
I got to work.
I don't know about that. But thank you, everyone. Yes, for following up. And by the way, thank you to everyone who registered for the meetup next year. By the way, if you haven't seen that, divetalkmeetup.com is the site for you to register for the meetup next year. Is the week that we look forward to for the most part. The whole year. We look forward to that week, and that is because we get to dive with everyone watching us that wants to go dive with us. We're going to go to Bonaire, which we love, and we already talked about this on a video. I got the opportunity to go there because Woody said you should go and do it, and absolutely loved it, and we're going there next year. So divetalkmeetup.com. Divetalkmeetup.com. So sign up.
Yeah, so it's really, really cool. This Bonaire, for everybody out there, I know we're going to get these questions. It's very mellow. You can be a brand new beginner diver. We are going to do the try rebreather sessions again, and we have some great speakers, different speakers.
Yes.
Right, Jill Heinrich.
Jill Heinrich is coming next year.
Heinrich. I say it wrong every time. Can you say it?
Dude, why is this becoming a thing with you?
It.
It's Heinrich. It's not
Heinrich.
Yes, Jill Heinrich.
Jill Heinrich,
legendary Cave Explorer. Amazing. She's been on the show before.
She's great.
If you haven't seen her, but she talks about diving inside icebergs and all kinds of crazy stuff, mapping caves.
Dived inside of an iceberg. She doesn't talk about it.
She's awesome. And diving with polar bears, like what Rambo?
Really cool.
And it's awesome. So Jill is gonna be there next year. I hope to see you there. And we're working on more speakers.
Yeah, and also it was a big success. I did our first online and then virtual nitrox class.
True.
100% you can get certified. Taking our nitrox class, first part of it is online with the digital material, and then the practical is virtual. Super realistic. We apply real diving. And the reviews were outstanding.
Yes.
We have another one, December 3rd. You can sign up for it on our website. It's posted all over Facebook. Mm-hmm. We still have spots left on it. And Terry will be co-teaching it with me. So
That's awesome.
I'm kind of excited about that as well. I saw a couple questions already come in about different things. One of them is, would we ever do a video on the advancements in 3D printing? For me, that's the kind of stuff that I don't know enough about.
Any about. By enough, you mean nothing.
I know that there is 3D printing. And I think it's a machine and there's plastic.
Right. I think so.
So that's my reaction.
Cool. I know computers are involved. That's as
so
far as I go.
I don't know what to answer
But
that person's question, I don't know what
I do have a cool whale shark whistle 3D printer.
Okay. Well,
So
we can't always do reactions about anything, because when it's stuff we don't know what we're talking about, it would be kind of bad. So
yeah.
Let's keep on reading. Let's read some other ones. Have you done a video about the Finnish diver accident that happened in Norway?
This is a good question. That question happens a lot. Is the diving into the unknown documentary?
Oh, right.
We have not done that. We will in the future.
Right.
But this is a good question by Mike. Is like, what's everyone's thoughts on concierge diving? I just don't know what I think about someone else setting up my equipment. This is a great question, because concierge diving is the experience that people are going to have in Bonaire during the meetup. And what that means is that you can do as much or as little as you want when it comes to your gear. So concierge diving is not going to be pushed on anyone. That's just an option and it's available. But if you want to set up your own gear, like everyone diving a Rebreather is going to set up their gear. Nobody's going to ask somebody from the dive shop, like, hey, yeah, go ahead and set up my Rebreather. That's not going to happen. So concierge diving for Rebreathers is not a thing. I think, unless if I personally will not let anyone set up my Rebreather, but for open circuit, it's pretty straightforward. These guys do this for a living. They do it every day. If you feel comfortable, they will literally take your BCD and your regulator and everything and set it up in a tank and have it all ready. All you have to do is show up, obviously do your tests. You still have body checks that you have to do. Check your air, check your BC, check everything. You do your body checks yourself. Make sure everything is set up correctly. It doesn't mean you throw it on and dive on the deep end. Like, that's not what this is about. Is minimizing the amount of work that you're doing. You should still check your stuff. But once you check and everything is good, how awesome is to just come out of the water, eat some fruit. Oh, it's time for dive 2? Okay. Put on your gear and go diving.
Like, why would you not want that?
What?
I'm trying to think of the downside. No, listen, and it's just a great environment. These meetups are more than just the diving. We bond, we eat together, we all rotate around, we get to know each other, we share stories, we laugh. We have speakers at night.
Right.
I thought the vibe was great. Everybody is in a mode to help each other, and everybody dove amazing on the last meetup. You saw beautiful trim and buoyancy. I think you would find it to be one of the more enjoyable trips you've been on, and we would love to meet so many of you.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I wanted to mention, because this came up, somebody asked, they reach out to Deep Six and they ask, hey, I want to buy some Eddy fins, but I want to kind of celebrate Dive Talk. I want people to know that I watch Dive Talk, that I enjoy the videos, and I want to represent Dive Talk underwater. So how can I please get a pair that is orange and pink, like one fin orange, one fin pink for Gus and Woody, right? And Deep Six got this great idea, and they're coming up with the Dive Talk version of Eddy fins, where if you buy them, they will send you an orange one and a pink one. I think it's cool.
That's so cool.
Start rocking that. So they're coming soon. They're not available yet on the website. You cannot just go and order them yet. But you can order the regular fins on individual colors, right? All the blue, black, white, orange, and pink colors that they have. And remember to use the code DiveTalk for a 10% discount. That code's still applicable. You can still go. We're not going to get 10% kickoff or anything like that. You guys get the discount. And the discount code is going to apply once the Dive Talk version of the Eddy fins come out. So make sure you use Dive Talk for 10% off whenever you order something from Deep Six. By the way, I have no idea how many people have ordered stuff from Deep Six. I hope every time we go diving, like at the meetup, they had a ton of Eddy fins. I hope they bought them with the discount. I don't know, but I just want to remind everyone that that's out there.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point. You know, we don't get anything for that, but we get the pleasure of knowing when you put them on, oh, what a game changer those things are.
Yeah.
Get rid of your split fins, everybody. Just go into these things and you'll be so happy.
Absolutely.
What's that? Tyler, have you ever had a situation where you came off of a jumper back from a dive penetration and the cave was silted out? Yes. Yes, I have.
Who knows how many times.
And if so, what do? You don't lose the line.
That's right.
That's when you want to know where that line is, and you may want to hold it, right? You may want to okay the line, or you may want to just stay very, very close to it. That's it. That's the whole purpose of always knowing where the line is. But that does happen a lot, actually.
All right. Let's see what other questions do we have.
Tell us.
How you can dive so deep without being pulled back up to the top. We use weights if needed. The tanks that we dive with sometimes are steel tanks that push us down. So the weight of the equipment that we carry will take us down, will let us dive. And if it's not enough weight, we then use more weights, lead weights, to help us get down. So that's how we can go down and up, when diving.
Hey, Braden, this is a good question. So tell us how exciting it was to go into those caves and explore what it was like walking in them for the first time, the caves in Mexico. In other words, describe what the feeling is. This is what I'm going to do. Describe the difference between cave diving and cave exploration. Okay, it's a personal thing. Yeah. Gus can say what he wants. For me, it is a feeling of it's very addictive because there is this gratification inside of you to know, I don't know where this is going to go, but I may find this most incredible room that no one has ever set eyes on, and it may be massive, and I have to search for it. So you get gratification knowing that you're the first human being to potentially find something that you can then name. However, with that gratification and with that sense of accomplishment, you also are always a little bit more nervous than you are when you're cave diving in a already explored cave. I don't know I don't know when I'm going to lose visibility, which is often when you're cave exploring. And I don't know if we're going to dead end and waste a bunch of time. And the biggest, a collapse. You're going through sections that nobody has ever gone through. So don't cave explore unless you're going to cave explore with somebody that is truly experienced in cave exploring. We did not cave explore on our own.
Right.
We were guided, briefed, told what to do by Mike Young. That's my overall reaction.
Yes, absolutely. And we have met people like that have, 100 cave dives, and they're like, oh, I found this cave somewhere in somebody's private property. I'm going to go in that hole and find out what's in there.
I just... Really dangerous.
Irresponsible. Yeah.
I wouldn't do that.
Okay, so somebody's asking about the coral disease situation in Bonaire. I did ask about this. Bonaire, because of cruise ships that can bring, basically whatever virus. I don't know how the coral gets sick, but they are bringing it from other islands. So anything near the port where like the cruise ships stop and whatnot, all that coral has coral disease. And so they have made these rules in Bonaire where it's like if you go on those sites, when you come out, you have to thoroughly disinfect all your gear and yourself before you can go diving on the sites that don't have the disease. To make it easier, some hotels, which I think is the right move, by the way, and we are following this just before everyone asks, to make it easier, we just make the sites with coral disease off limits. Like, let's just not go on those. There's so many in Bonaire, dozens and dozens and dozens of sites that there's no need to go near the port to go diving and potentially bringing in that disease to sites that don't have it. So we're going to stick to the green sites, the sites without disease. There's no way we can hit them all during the meetup. There's so many of them. So that's the situation there.
Yep.
Let's see. What else?
Yukon Sean. And don't dive unless you do it in deep six eddy fins. It is a game changer. I mean, I remember the first time I dove them first, and then I told you. And I'm like, Gus, I know you love your fins.
Yeah.
Just try them. I couldn't believe the lightness and the ability to back fin kick. Remember I kept telling you that? And you're like, whatever. How much better can it? You put them on, you're like,
I was so
I'm
hesitant.
done. You were resisting me that game.
I was
exaggerating.
Borderline insulting.
Yeah, you were like,
because I had the Apex arcade race, which
are
great.
They're
fins.
great, but
I still have them. But and you kept saying, and I was cave diving with the Apex, and I'm like, there's just no way that anything is gonna be better than this.
Yep.
Just no, go.
And you
away.
were adamant like that.
Yeah,
I'm like, just
and
try.
Chris from Deep Six, the owner of Deep Six, he sent me a pair of orange ones. He's like, dude, whenever you're ready. I had him for like 2 months in the package. And then we went diving off the coast of West Palm Beach, I think, or something. And because the Deep Six are way more lightweight than the RK3s, I'm like, okay, I'll bring these pile of garbage to dive in the ocean. And I've never used the Apex since then. They're so much better.
I don't want to say I told them so, but I had to tell them I told you. Because, look, I'm not looking to, I'll prove you wrong. It's a better experience for you. If it would have sucked, I would have said, keep your fins.
Yeah.
I'm not using these. They're terrible.
My favorite thing to do now is to change fins with people that have crap fins. Like I did it during our meetup in Cozumel several times. I would see people with like split fin, and you can see them because they're swimming and they're like bending 90 degrees. They're terrible. So I'll be like, hold, and then we swap fins, and then they wouldn't want to give it back to me. It's like, dude, these fins are awesome. Can I keep them? No, those are mine, but go get some, right? Go get some Eddie fins because they're awesome. Especially if you can get the Dive Talk edition coming up soon. All right, let's see. What else? What do we have for other questions? By the way, somebody said go Braves.
So some people just said, can we
I know you love baseball.
Yeah, I like it for like 5 seconds. Yes, you can learn from us. You've asked if you can learn from us. You can. You can learn from. We're going to be building a bigger network of Dive Talk approved scuba instructors. I know I got to get to work on that. I am. But right now, you could take a nitrox class from us. So that's a way you could learn from us. I'm trying to put together wouldn't this be cool, a Shearwater webinar where we don't really use more than probably 25% of all of the features and power of the Shearwaters.
I know.
We don't. And there's so many. So I want to get Shearwater to come on with us and do a webinar and just walk through all the screens and all the settings and the why behind it. Worldwide, I think that would be hugely popular. So we've got a few things now that we have this virtual platform that we're going to start doing very soon. I'm working on a big time course with Christina Zanato. Do you really know what sharks are about? Something like that. Wait till you see this thing. Her and I have some incredible ideas. So yeah, we have a lot of fun stuff coming to get people excited about diving, because it is exciting.
Yeah, somebody's saying no room for error when you're diving. You make a lot of mistakes when diving. The trick is to prepare and have gear so you can deal with issues when you're diving. But you can make mistakes. There's errors that happen all the time. You just recover from them. It's not a big deal.
I would say with cave diving, there's no room for not following the essential 5 rules of cave diving.
That's right.
You could get yourself quickly into a situation you can't recover from.
Yep.
That's what
Have you ever dropped your spool when firing your DSMB? If so, what did you wrap your line around to get your spool back?
Oh, I have. I've seen them drop as well. I'm like catching them. There it comes.
Yeah.
But I have dropped it.
There's people that drop it on purpose too, by the way, because they come rolling. That only works if there's no current. If there's current, goodbye SMB, right? You will just shoot it and you'll see it fly away. But if there's no current, you can shoot it up and you'll see the spool just rolling down into your hand.
When you do fire your SMB, though, lock it off. I see a lot of people don't. They're just holding it, and if you let go, it's goner. You just take the double ender, clip it, lock it off, and then you don't really have to worry about it. And you could let go of it for a second. It bounces around almost like a yo-yo, right? But it won't unroll on you.
Yeah. Is buying my own tank worth it, or should I just rent them? It really depends on what you do, what type of diving you do. I remember that I always thought I never, ever will need my own tanks when I was, just a regular recreational diver. And then I found a site called Lake Jocassee in South Carolina where there's a shop, but it's not always open when you want or whatever. So somebody gave me a gift card from the local dive shop and I went and bought a tank and I loved it because I could go and dive at the lake whenever I wanted. So it really depends on where you are and the kind of dives that you do. If your dive sites have tanks, just rent them out. They'll rent them out for like $10. It's already full with air. Like, it's just a lot easier, less headache. But if you dive in places where that's not an option, then you should have your own tanks.
Yeah, I reading this comment about, I recognize it's a tough topic and always appreciate your honesty, but could you make any comment with your friend recently passed in an accident? We have. Mm-hmm. And no, I don't think we want to make any more comments here live, but tough situation. You got to be Be conservative when you're cave diving. I would say that's my comment, especially if you're a new cave diver. Don't push it. It's not like a cool, look how tight of an area I can get into. That's not like a thing in cave diving. Hey, thank you, Shannon.
Yeah. Thank you, Shannon, for the super chat. And the question is, are decompression stops posts like pots when you can take your gear off or what? So I think Shannon is talking about the
habitats.
The habitats, yep, decompression habitats.
You could take your gear off in a habitat, yes.
Yeah, depending on the size, depending on the way it's set up. But yeah, the main, I think, idea for a habitat is not so much to take your gear off, but is to get out of the cold water. That's mainly why habitats exist, because if you're doing a super long dive, like some of these decompression stops are like 4 hours long, being for 4 hours in the water, even if it's not super cold, it's going to hit you hard. So being able to get out of the water really, really helps. And I think that's the main goal for that.
This hat was made for me. There's been a few really cool ones. I know people are commenting. I mean, people are really talented, and they've been sending me these amazing. And they look at this thing. This is elaborate. I mean, it's like, look at this guy.
It's like a
squid, a jellyfish. I mean, so I love them.
I know that I feel bad because she made the octopus one for me, and I never wear it. You're the one who wears it, but it's such a great work.
I love octopus, and I am kind of relate to them. In my mind.
What is the longest dive each one of you have done this far? 3 hours and 7 minutes or something like that?
Yeah, I keep saying I think I'm close to like a 4-hour dive. It was in the Caymans. It was with Doug Ebersol. And we were at 100 meters, and we were just racking up the deco time. But let me tell you why it really went so long. Because you're off gassing, your deco was up on the top of the wall on the reef.
Right.
What's the rush? By the way, that reef is like right at 24 feet. It's perfect. It was like the reef knew, oh, you got a deco? Just look at me for a while.
Yeah.
So you come up the wall, and most of your off-gassing is at 20 feet. That's just the way it works typically in most dive profiles. So we were in no rush.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
But in a cave, my longest dive, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at my log, which I'm way behind on all my cave logs.
How much time you normally use your sorb? So it really depends on the kind of rebreather that you're diving. So for Woody and me, when we dive our Sidewinder and our Spirit, we set the stack timer for 6 hours.
We're generally warm water.
Yeah, 6 hours. But talking to Ed Sorensen, he told us that he has tested the sorb for up to 12 hours. Mm-hmm. But we are super conservative. There's no need to push it that far, so we do 6. But when we dive our Go, the Kiss Go, the chest-mounted new rebreather from Kiss that is still in prototype phase, 3 hours. Because it fits half the amount of sorb.
Yeah, it's about a general rule. Don't chop me down. About 1 hour per pound of sorb. Yeah. In a relatively warm environment where you don't have
conservative.
Where you don't have a giant work of breathing. You're not working hard.
There's also canisters. The Sidewinder, depending on the kind of dives that you do in your mission profile, Mike has built canisters in the past to accommodate for other profiles. Like, for example, I know he has smaller canisters to fit through super tight holes, and those are 2 hours. Mm-hmm. He can dive for 2 hours on those. And then he has also built what we call expedition canisters, which fit twice the amount of sorb of the regular ones. I have a pair of those. And a couple of people, Mike has made for, half those, and those you can do like 15-hour dives. They're super big.
Any plans for another diver stereotype? Yes. Instructor stereotypes.
We have a few.
How about the instructor stereotypes?
They're going to steal our ideas.
No, I'm not going to tell them what the stereotypes are, but you can only imagine. We were about to record it. To be honest with you, we were on our way. We had a day planned. We had everything set up, and something happened that day, right? Where it all fell apart. We needed to get it all set up again.
Oh, yeah,
everybody canceled or something.
Our cameraman had a crash. He totaled his car.
Yeah, the cameraman Benjamin
I shouldn't be
wrecked his car.
I shouldn't be laughing. But now he has a truck,
I'm like,
so
Benjamin,
it's a good thing.
And we're like, Benjamin, are you okay? I mean, Benjamin, we got to video to record. I mean, Benjamin, are you okay?
Dude, are you good? Can you make it? Or
Because, I mean, this popular video.
Are you going to make it or? Yeah.
I mean, he totaled the car.
That was a disaster.
I'm like, all right, we got to set this a new day. We got to get that back on the calendar. What dive watch do you recommend for a new recreational diver? Before we answer that, why don't everybody on here take a guess of what you think we're going to say? What dive computers do you think we're going to recommend to this person that just asked, do you recommend, what dive computer do you recommend for a new diver? And by the way, a hint is there more than one brand out there to choose from? That's the hint. Is there? I think there's another brand.
You know what I fear?
It's a no-brainer.
I fear when people see us talk about Shearwater, like this amazing Shearwater products here, they think that we have like sponsors and they're paying us to promote their stuff. Like
it's the best.
0 companies out there, 0, all right, pay us to promote any of their stuff.
It's so much better.
Not
than everything
Shearwater,
else.
not Deep Six, not Kiss Rebreathers. No, nobody. Maybe they should pay us, but
nice.
they don't. All right, they don't pay us.
Well, last year we got 0 times 0 equals 0.
Maybe they should, but definitely.
Yeah. So, listen. Do yourself a favor. If you get a Shearwater, a Perdix, I would go with that. It's going to grow with you forever. It's way more power than you need. That's not the point. Ease of use, easy to read, and understandable, and it can grow with you. And by the way, the customer service you will receive from them is second to none. If you have a problem, they're going to take care of it without question. Just go with Shearwater.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. What else?
There's a lot of comments and stuff.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on. Bunch of spam, I guess.
Is the Kiss suited for deep trimix dive? Yes, no problem.
Yep.
I've been on the Spirit, very, very deep.
How do we send more octopus hats to Woody? Do you want more octopus hats?
Yes.
Okay. So
I get gifts and stuff. Did you get a? I didn't mean to bring that. I didn't mean to ask that again.
All right.
I really didn't purposely ask again if you got something special like this.
Right.
Would not do that. Look at that.
All right. What else?
And
am I gonna try the iguana soup in Bonaire? Why?
No.
Why would I try that?
I'm not. So I don't know.
No.
I'm not going to try that. I may try a burger.
Burgers are good. Dude, the hot dogs are delicious at this hotel.
How would they? Just tell people. Seriously, I wasn't there for some reason. You went without me.
Yeah.
When we were supposed to go together,
That's
and
true.
you used our credit card.
You got a rock though, so don't complain.
How was the food and the accommodations?
Awesome.
Really, super nice.
Really awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool, and they are they're building a bunch of villas. They're building a humongous new lobby with a restaurant and a bar and a new training pool, and it's awesome.
Do we have a theater, a place for the speakers and all?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's really, really great. All right. Any advice for starting deep diving? Get training.
Mm-hmm.
Get training and go diving with people that have been deep.
My advice is get with an instructor that you respect, that you relate with. It's always about the instructor. We're going to tell you, I don't care. We don't care about the agency. They're all good. They're all going to have great classes on that.
Yep.
So if you're going to go deep diving means in my mind, you're going to go beyond the no deco limit. So it's not a deep class, which I think goes to like 130 feet. You're going to go into decompression diving. You can't come to the surface, in other words, without stopping. I would seek the opinion of those that have taken those type of tech classes in your area, and there'll be great instructors around for you to get with.
Absolutely.
When are you going by
dry caving?
Dry caving, Gus. Oh.
Come on.
Soon, I would think.
Why do you even ask?
Let's see.
Absolutely not. How does breathing with tanks work? is the air pressed into your lungs? That's an interesting question. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me answer it. So,
Yeah.
general concept of how does the air come from the high pressure flying out of the tank into your mouth and not blow your mouth open. Okay? So, if you just opened a tank valve, that would imagine trying to breathe that underwater. 3,000 psi all trying to come out of the tank. What happens is you have a first stage. The first stage slows the pressure down. They call that the intermediate pressure. Call that like 130, 140 psi. Every regulator's a little different. Mm-hmm. So it slows it down. Goes through now it goes through a line, and it comes into the breathing portion of the regulator. The second stage. The second stage is going to allow you to demand the air. Slows it down to a breathing pressure. So you breathe, it opens up a valve, and it doesn't shoot the air into you. You pull it by breathing. It's very gentle. So you don't feel what you just said. You don't feel this shooting of gas into you. That's what a regulator does. It regulates the pressure down to a breathing, comfortable pressure. And the regulators are designed to adjust with pressure. The deeper you go, they're balanced so that you really don't feel the change in how much you have to pull for that air.
Right.
I don't even know if there's unbalanced regulators out there anymore, but most regulators, you're not going to feel any difference in the exertion it takes to breathe the air.
Right.
That's it. That's a general explanation. Forget about rebreathers. That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's see.
Yeah, they can fail. Regulators are designed, most of them are designed that if they do fail, they fail in the open position. They have downstream valves so that the valve opens if they fail, meaning it's giving you air rather than locking you out of air, so that you could sip the air out of a free-flowing regulator. That's how they're designed. But remember that at that point, you're burning air quickly. Some regulator companies, I think Poseidon is one, actually designs them, if it fails, to close and not give you air. So you would go for your alternate, because their concept is we don't want you to lose all your air. So it depends. But they do fail. They can fail.
Awesome. Okay, this is a good question from Joe. The cave diving community seems very elitist. Elitist. As a beginner, I find it hard to find dive partners. Any tips to find or develop a cave diving buddy?
It's really a great comment. It is, Gus knows I boil at this one. I don't like the whole elitist thing. I'm not a very good cave diver. I'm going to just tell everybody, I'm not a very good cave diver. Mm-hmm. I cave dive, and I like cave diving, but I don't do it enough to consider myself to be good. I have my moments where I'm doing really well, and then I'm not very good. And I want to dive with people that are wanting to help me, not beat me up. It's not a competition. Mm-hmm. So I choose to dive with cave divers that are not elitist. Help each other. Imagine when you first started cave diving, you elitist cave divers that are the God's gift to the cave diving world. I know there's some of you out there.
Right.
You weren't God's gift to the cave diving world on your first 50 cave dives. You learned, and somebody took the time to help you. And let's bring people into it.
And that is another reason why some of the speakers that went into the dive talk meetup in Cozumel were selected, is because we knew that we can rely on people like that to not seek out just these experts like themselves to dive with. They're going to dive with everyone, right? People like Ed and Mike and Doug and everyone, all of us dove with everyone, right? There wasn't like this expert boat where only experts dove together. No, we're the opposite. The newest you are, the more I want to dive with you.
That's my diver.
That's right.
Listen, diving is for fun. I want to bring that back as well. I don't care if you are this most amazing diver in the world. I don't care. Great. Mm-hmm. I'm going underwater to chill the F out. End of story. I work really hard. I can save that for when I work. Chill, relax. That's why I dive. So if you want to dive with me, get ready to do nothing much, but chill.
Awesome. All right, let's see. What other questions? Somebody asked if we've dived Wreck Alley in San Diego.
No.
Something called Wreck Alley.
Really? I would like to do that, and I know some people in San Diego that keep inviting us out there.
Yeah.
They actually are inviting me, but I would, unlike you, I wouldn't go by myself. I would tell you, hey, Gus, they've invited me. Would you come with me? I would do. You remember that? Let me repeat that. Hey, Gus, they invited me. Would you want to come with me and share this experience with me?
Absolutely.
Like you don't do with me.
That's not what you said the first time.
So anyway, so I would love to do that. I really do want to do more about that.
So
Thank you, Joe, by the way. Thank you. I'm trying to promote that out. I'm really trying to promote that spirit of let's help each other. Let's chill on our diving.
This question has come up a few times. Are we going to review the Oceanic Plus app? Well, that's part of the review of the Apple Watch as well. We have to do that. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to compare the advantages of the Apple Watch with the Oceanic Plus app compared with other computers like the Shearwater Terek, which we have the Maris Puck, which I have one around here. Maris sent us, by the way. Thank you, Maris, for that. So we're going to compare with that. This is the quintessential cheap computer that a lot of people get as their first computer. We also have a Deep Six computer, which is like around $300, so not very expensive. So we're going to compare all these computers together and see which one works best.
Yeah. For me, I'm going to go back to what I've said on so many occasions. I really want the number one thing, easy underwater to see and understand the information. Number one, underwater, is it easy for me to look at the computer and quickly understand what it's telling me? That's for my number one thing that I want on a computer, and the easiest one that I've ever used, both making settings and reading it, is the Shearwaters. It's like I understand exactly what you're communicating to me. That's my criteria.
Absolutely.
Hey, that was nice.
This is a good question from Jeff. So when you did your CCR cave, do you prefer LP85s or LP50s? Do you have different size O2 bottle? I'm going to meet Bill Main when I get back to Florida. Bill Main, by the way, the creator of the Hogarthian method.
Yes. Listen,
who came from.
Yeah, this is a great question, and I would say it depends on a number of things.
Yep.
So, do you prefer? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say to myself, what are we going to do, Gus? What kind of cave dive are we going to do? Number one, forget the tank. What are we doing today?
What's the plan?
Okay, I may need some bigger tanks for that plan.
That's right.
Or I may want a stage. Now, I am very sensitive to weight. I am. 1 pound different on one side for me, I'm going to be driving myself crazy. I was using only LP50s, and they're really nice and beautiful and trimmed and small, but I was having to use more of my BC than I wanted to compensate for their steel tanks. And I've since switched to aluminum 80s, and for me, they work better. It doesn't mean they work better for Gus. It doesn't mean that's all you should use. It means I like them better.
Yeah.
For Woody's body type. So I think you should try some different tanks.
Yeah.
And then decide which ones you like for you. And of course, it depends on the dive.
Yeah.
Some people will say, by the way, Florida, it has flow. You're better off to use steel tanks. They're not as light. They don't bounce around as much, right?
Yep.
There's some truth to that. So maybe Mexico, they tend not to use the steel tanks as much. See, it depends.
Right. It's a lot more available. The AL aluminum 80s are way more available than the steel tanks. But yeah, it's like you said, it depends on the dive. I mean, and it also depends on how you set it up. So like I prefer the LP50s because they're smaller. They're easier to don. They're easier to carry. They're easy for everything. But if we're doing a big dive, then I have to either choose, well, do I do LP85s or do I stage? I have to carry an extra third tank and keep the LP50s. Typically, what I do these days is stage. But if I want to bring everything with me, LP85s make more sense. They're bigger and heavier, but I don't have to stage. So it really depends. There's a lot of factors. But in terms of preference, if I have a preference, let's say I'm going to do a dive that I can do with either tank or whatever, I pick LP50s. In reality, the answer is yes. What do you do? What do you dive? Yes. Whatever is available. Go to Mexico, AL80s, cool. AL72s, fine. LP 100, 1,000, whatever. Like, we can dive anything, but we're also going to prefer not only a size, but also our tanks, because our tanks are set up, like the bands on the tanks are set up based on our height, our torso height, like different things. So, yeah, you're always going to prefer your own tanks. All right. People are saying that the eyes on your squid are following them around. That's kind of creepy.
That's cool.
All right, here we go. Let's see what questions.
I would say that the tank
so
bands and the way you set those up, boy, that's like the most important thing, right? You kind of want the tank to tweak. So it's a lot of tension on him when you bunge him. You want him to tweak in, and that's a constant battle. I think the LP50s probably trim out tighter, to be perfectly honest, than my 80s do on me. They tend to stick out a little. Yeah. But I'm still, I will accept the not as good looking. Yeah. For the less amount of the comfort of my buoyancy adjustment. Does that make sense? So everything has a pro and a con.
Of course. Let's see. What else? I don't see any more questions. Can I get Rebreather certified with you guys? Really tough.
Well, I am an instructor, but the time element. Yeah. I would say I would recommend you get Rebreather certified with KISS Rebreather instructors that are doing it a lot more. Yeah. That are doing it all the time, because they're going to be better than me, and they're going to give you the time, and that's what they do. So I would recommend some to you. Yep. For sure. But
somebody asked earlier, should I buy a computer before I even take the class? It's tough for me to speak on this one, because I would say, there's nothing wrong if you know you're going to be diving and somebody gives you like a good deal on like a Shearwater Terek for you to buy. It's not like you're not going to use it. You will use it. But typically what I advise people is to just take the class, work with your local dive shop. They will advise you. They will answer your questions. Typically, dive shops do a good job presenting options, and you get to choose whatever it is. And you're always going to choose the best one as long as you choose Shearwater.
Great answer.
Let's see.
Would you dress up in one of those deep sea diving suits, cover yourself in seaweed, and go full Scooby-Doo villain for Halloween? Yeah. I don't know why.
Okay.
Why is that?
This is a good question. Hold on.
I'd love to do that.
This is a good question. Aaron asks, how many times can you use your rebreather before you have to take it apart and change it? I guess change the sorb and all of that. It really depends. It actually depends.
Well, you answer.
Yeah.
And I'll answer, because it depends on a week's trip and what level of taking apart are we going to do.
So, yes. So, for example, let's say this weekend we go to Cave Country. All right. The water there is fresh water, so we don't have to wash it after diving the salt off. It's just basically clean water. So it's fresh water. And the temperature is probably in the 70s or 80s, right? So it's very
72, I'm thinking.
Right.
These cases.
Well, I'm talking about the weather outside. Oh, so right. after we take the rebreather out, it's not like it's sitting in the sun, like getting cooked, or it's being frozen into a block.
Unless we put it back in our oven that we discovered.
It's not going to be frozen into a block. Right. So because of that, we can probably dive 2 days. Let's say we're going to dive Saturday and Sunday. We can dive Saturday and we can dive Sunday, and we'll be good to go. Assuming we assembled it on Friday or something. Yes. We can dive both days. No disassembly, no cleaning up, no maintenance. Just go dive it. Unless you have a problem or something. So that will be that. But if I put my rebreather together and I go on a 300-foot dive, I'm probably going to disassemble it and pack my Sorb again. So if you go on a super deep dive, you always kind of take it apart and, do it again.
Yeah, and there's different levels of taking it apart. What I was going to say is I'm going to change my Sorb based upon if I have a 6-hour limit, what am I going to do, right? What am I close to that, and now I'm going to do a long dive? I got to change the Sorb. But am I going to go further? Am I going to also take the counter lungs out and drain the humidity or a little bit of saliva or water that are in them? Am I also going to re-lube with all the O-rings and take it all the way apart to that extent, right? So you may really want to take it apart if you've like a week-long trip where you've built up some humidity and some gook inside the loop hoses and inside the counter lungs. I'd say for a week-long trip, about halfway through the trip, I'm going to break all that down, do a fresh water cleaning, just get the gook out of the loop hoses and the counter lungs and put it all back together. Yeah. So that's a full breakdown. That's not just changing the Sorb.
Right. So in our meetup in Cozumel, I packed twice. So I dove 3 times, packed 3 times, and then I was done.
And I packed
because you had to go
every day because I had 3-hour Sorb time, and we generally did at least 2 hours of diving. So I really didn't have the ability to dive the whole next day with the same Sorb.
Let me talk about the documentary, The Deepest Breath, which is a documentary on Netflix. I don't know if you watched it, but it's about free diving. Great documentary. It was really, really interesting. People are asking us to react to it. We're not free divers. I mean, what I can say is that it's very tragic, what they cover in the documentary. Really, really well done. Amazing world. But we don't have enough expertise to comment on free diving, especially free diving championships. And that's why the episode we did, about Audrey Mestre, we brought Tanya Streeter, who holds the world record for freediving, to be the expert commentator on it because we don't have enough skills on that or knowledge on that.
Somebody said, "Why the hate on split fins? I know they're not all created equal." Well, let me tell you that I used to dive only in split fins, and here's why. I don't want to say the word is hate, but I think the word is you don't know what you don't know. I know that for some people, they have joint problems or they find that they're easier through the water. I don't believe that is true. I actually think my Deep 6 Eddy fins are much easier, especially if there's any current, and way less work for me and safer because of that than split fins. I think split fins can create additional work. So I'm not saying that 100% you can't dive in split fins, but I think if you dive in a really good set of non-split fins, you may never go back, and you realize that you were sold a bill of sale. Yeah. That this whole concept that the water moves in between the two blades makes it way easier. Yeah. They're so floppy, it makes it a lot more work, actually. They're just not efficient in the water. That's why I now say I just think it's a bunch of BS that split fins are less work.
And there are, by the way, some interesting videos about this, just testing them, because it's not just hate for the sake of hating. We actually have dove split fins. We're just not talking about it like because they look ugly or what, because we've used them and now we use something else. We can talk about it and feel comfortable, sharing our opinion there. But there are videos about this. Our friend Brian from Lake Hickory Scuba, by the way, did a good video on this, testing multiple fins. I don't think he didn't try the Eddy fins, but he compared with Mares and some other brands. And you can learn more by checking out his video. But at the end of the day, that design in the middle that splits it, the way fins work is by pushing the water down, just like your hand when you pull it out of the window and let the wind push your hand back. That resistance is what makes you propulse through the water. So the fact that there's a split in the middle and the water goes through, that means you're wasting energy. You're wasting potential of using that water to move through the water. So you will never, and I know that people can kick hard and it seems like they're diving super fast or they're swimming fast. If they can kick like that with regular fins, they would be way faster, by the way. So there's people that say, well, you don't think I can be fast with split fins? No, you can. You can kick super hard and wind yourself, like get tired super fast to prove your point that you can swim fast with split fins. But you're wasting energy. You're wasting momentum. You're wasting effort. There's no point. With regular fins, you will be much faster, spending less energy, and do moves that you can even dream to do with split fins. Try to do a helicopter kick or a back kick with split fins. It's a complete disaster. You can't do it. It doesn't work. So, yeah, there's no real benefit for it other than if you are very susceptible to like cramps. Like if your calf cramp a lot and that resistance to the water makes them cramp a lot, because of that flaw that the water can go through, you be less susceptible to cramping with split fins.
What is these comments about? Is there something spamming? I don't understand it. Something is being spammed. It's not related to the channel. It's not the sort of top. I'm not sure maybe people are helping us in getting rid of the spam.
Yeah. There's a ton of spam.
So somebody's getting rid of it for us?
Yeah. Yeah, Terry's working
Terry,
on that.
thank you. Wow, I didn't realize that was even happening. Like people are making comments that are spam?
Yes.
Thank you, Terry. Honestly, I'm like, I don't even see them.
Yeah.
That's terrible. Why do people do that? We're trying to have a productive conversation with everybody.
Yeah.
And it's great questions you guys have been asking. Thank you.
What do you all think about the Mars Avanti Quattro Plus? I had the original Avanti Mars, and they're great. They're great fins. I gifted them to my brother. They're good. Any new innovations or just straight up new types of gear that you look forward to trying out? I look forward to trying out the Abyss rebreather, the Kiss Abyss. That would be cool.
I don't know. When I go to DEMA, I always get excited. And I find myself saying, I want to try this. I want to try that. And guess how much of it I try? Not much. And you know why? Have you noticed that diving gear really has not changed that dramatically?
Right.
I can tell you it hasn't changed that dramatically in decades. Mm-hmm. In the end, it's pretty much the same. Now, there are some really nice new BCs and so forth, but I don't know. I pick a few brands that I really like that I feel are super reliable, and I just stay with it. We are going to DEMA this year.
Any videos upcoming with you guys spearfishing? We don't spearfish. We kill lionfish.
Yeah, I think there is some.
There are some videos coming up of us killing lionfish, but yeah. Other than that, we don't spearfish like people think with a gun or whatever. We don't.
We are going to DEMA. We both have tickets. Yeah, I'll be there for only a couple of days. I just have other things, but first 2 days or so. Do you guys dive in South Florida?
A little bit.
I'm born and raised there. It's been most of my diving has been in South Florida for decades, 40 plus years, and I love it.
Are there more reactions incoming that are gold? Every single one of them. Just watch all of our reaction videos. People seem to really enjoy that. So we have a couple coming up.
Let's see.
What's the best cave place that you've ever dived at, Abaco?
Oh, book recommendations for scuba diving.
There's a couple.
What would be the best one?
I mean, I think Close Calls is a good book.
Close Calls is good, not necessarily to learn about how to dive, but just incredible stories of people's close calls, like accident analysis.
Yep.
I think, honestly, the best books are really the agency's initial class. If you want to learn about just what it takes to scuba dive, sign up for a scuba class.
Yeah. Somebody's asking if I'm intending to get certified on a full face mask. Not really. Not a regular certification. I did do the training at the Georgia Aquarium for Surface Supply, which uses a full face mask. But that's mainly for the aquarium. I don't envision myself using one out there just diving for fun. ECCR versus MCCR, advantages and disadvantages. I think this is a very long topic, of discussion. I think that people mistake our fanatism, I guess, our loyalty to Kiss rebreathers for not liking electronic CCRs, or for us saying that other rebreathers that are electronic are garbage. No, I've never ever said that any rebreather is bad, because I've never dived other rebreathers. It would be irresponsible for me to come out and be like, the Choptima is garbage, because I've never dived it. I don't know if it's good or bad. What I do know is that the KISS rebreathers are amazing, and I trust them with my life every time I go diving. And I prefer the manual rebreather. Now, it's not 100% mechanical.
They're not manual.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, because they're not 100% manual, meaning that you have to add every gas manually. They have a trickle valve that flows oxygen into the system that you metabolize. So the oxygen that your body's consuming, the rebreather is feeding that in little by little, to the point that what I love about rebreather diving is getting to a depth and just not even pressing a button for like an hour or two. The rebreather is just feeding you the oxygen that you need, and it just works perfect for an hour or two. Electronic rebreathers are great in the sense that they can inject all the gases automatically based on the reading, but that mechanism fails, and it fails often. Apparently, for people that own them, they are always complaining that it gets stuck, and it's actually part of the training is what do you do when it gets stuck? Not if, or if on the crazy scenario that, no, it's when it happens, here's how you do it. You switch to mechanic, you switch to manual, and then you fly it manually. So,
and I think their manual rebreathers are manual when the electronic fails.
Yeah,
you don't have a constant mass flow.
Yeah.
So they actually, at that point, it's easier to potentially not pay attention to your PO2 because it's not injecting the 0.7 liters a minute of oxygen that most people metabolize at. So, but there are some unbelievably good manufacturers out there besides KISS.
Yeah.
For sure.
We've actually featured them in this channel.
Really reputable, tested, excellent rebreathers.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're biased. This is my opinion, because you tend to love what you learn on, you've invested in, and you feel comfortable on. And why not get excited and support the rebreather that you feel great about?
Right.
Why not do that? You're just, you're biased because you enjoy and you feel safe on that. We're biased. I think we're biased, but
we're biased for a reason, right?
But
not because
they're super reliable.
Not because we're getting paid. Because we love them.
I have been on trips. I will just say, I have been on these big CCR dive trips where there's all these different rebreathers, right? And all I'm saying is the KISS guys are always on the boat making the dive.
Yeah.
They're not the ones where their rebreather held them back. So I'm biased. They're reliable. They work.
That's right. What's your biggest fear when you're diving, if any? I mean, I guess it depends on the dive. And some of those cave exploration dives is collapse. Because that thing is brittle, man. You touch that wall and it just falls apart in your hand. But it's not a big enough fear that I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, and I'm thinking my biggest fear when I'm diving, I guess, just that I don't mess up. That I'm not making a mistake. I'm not screwing things up for everybody else. Maybe that's the fairest way for me. I don't want to be the cause of people's problems.
Alexander's asking a good question. What are your thoughts about some of the equipment restrictions of the Hogarthian style, like backup lights that should be powered by C-cell batteries and don't have electronic buttons, and divers should not wear a helmet and things like that? I think that, one of the things that we have mentioned about Hogarthian agencies like GUE and all of these is that, I really like some of the things about those agencies, and I dislike some of the other things. Like the fact that everyone should have the same equipment set up the same way no matter what. I personally don't like that. I think that, just because I carry 4 lights doesn't mean you need to carry 4 lights. And just because I, put my notes in this pocket means you shouldn't put that knot in that pocket. I think it's not, I mean, I see the value that if everyone is set up correctly, then that everyone has the same thing. But outside of that, it's just not realistic. If you have a mixed group of people that you dive with. And we like diving. We go diving with people that dive different rebreathers, that have different DPVs, different lights. Like, I mean, imagine if we had this thing where it's like, you can only dive the Sidewinder, and it has to be set up this way, and you can only have Orca torch lights. Like, it would just be you and me all the time, and nobody else.
And doesn't make any sense. And I would struggle with that kind of person. I would, because I know when I said, I would be like, well, why? Right? Which, like, I learned that from Ed. Like, okay, you want to set yours up that way. Just why?
Yeah.
He'll ask you why. He doesn't say don't. And then you tell him why. And most of the time, okay, all right, that makes sense.
Exactly.
Here's why I do my way, Ed will tell you. But which, by the way, is usually right. I have to admit. I'm like, oh, yeah, your way's better.
Yeah.
Good point. I'm going to do your way. But, Doug's the same way. He's another great rebreather instructor. Those guys are more open-minded, if you will. I don't know. I haven't learned in like the GUE way. I've not been trained that way. So I don't know. Maybe if I went through their class, I would learn more about their whys. Yeah. Maybe I would get a little bit more. I do know that when I go diving with Gus or Doug or these guys, we do a briefing, and I do want to know where his stuff is and, have an understanding of how he's set up and have him understand how I'm set up.
Right.
In case we need to help each other.
Yeah, some things about those agencies are valuable, in my opinion. Some people would disagree with those. Like GUE, for example, doesn't allow any smokers to be certified.
Really?
GUE, yeah, no smokers. If you smoke, you're out. I wouldn't go that far, but
I'm not a smoker.
I'm not a smoker, and if all my friends are non-smokers, that would be good.
Did you say GUE has no helmet? Is that what you said?
No, the Hogarthian method that was founded back with WKPP. We talked about it. Yeah, they don't use helmets. But anyway, they don't want smokers. I think if you're an instructor, you have to have BMI lower than 35. Like, they have all these rules about physical ability. So you have to be fit to dive and be part of GUE, or else you cannot make it. There are things like that I think are kind of valuable for their members, but then some other ones that I disagree with. I think that, again, is part of who you are and what you're comfortable with. Doug is a good example. He has an SPG connected to his O2 tank. I have a transmitter, and we dive together. No problem. There's nobody's more right than the other. Is what are you comfortable with? And some people don't have any.
Which is me. I actually... This was a why from Ed. Ed's like, one time Ed was like, why are you so worried about your SPG on your O2? I said, well, I'd like to know when my O2 is low and maybe I need to think about, ending the dive or turning around. He's like, why? Why does that make you have to end the dive? And I'm like, well, I would like to have O2 so I can, have it. I like O2 and I want to have my PO2 the same. And he's like, well, why? What about SCR? And I'm like, you're right. I don't really need it.
That's right.
I don't really need it. So I'm saying, guys, there's no black and white. We don't need to go through a discussion on that point.
Right.
I'm making a bigger point. It's not like this automatic black and white. There's a lot to think about and different viewpoints.
Yeah.
And do what you feel is right for you in the end.
Yeah. Okay. So here's another one that I thought it was a good one is, what did you struggle with the most on your early dives of CCR diving?
Buoyancy and trim. Excuse me. Buoyancy and trim, I would say.
All over the place.
I think for everybody, I definitely can speak for myself that it's so different. And it takes a while to get the gear configured right for yourself. The tanks, the trim, the weighting. You're no longer going to be affected. Your breathing is not going to affect your buoyancy, right? You're in a closed loop. That takes most people a while. I always tell my students, you're going to hate this and you're going to regret it probably for a while. Like, you got this uphill climb.
It's terrible.
And wait, just bear with me, I've told my students, and eventually you're going to get to the other side and you're not going to want to dive anymore without your rebreather. And at the beginning, they're like, you're wrong, Woody. I always will hate this. I hate this, and I hate that you talked me into it. I'm like, okay, but just wait. I still hate it. Okay.
I wasted my money.
But just wait. I wasted my money. Okay. But just
Sold it.
wait.
Keep going.
And then they're like, that dive went really well. I'm
That's
like,
good.
yeah, it's pretty nice. And then they're like, wow, this is really feeling amazing. I don't want to dive any other way. I'm like,
Yeah.
you got to get used to it.
It's a break you down to build you up kind of strategy
I
with
think it is.
rebreathers. So we all struggle with that. And it's funny because you see videos of people with like perfect buoyancy on a rebreather and they're like, oh, of course, it's so easy on a rebreather. Okay.
I don't think it's easy.
Go do it.
Not
Be
easy.
bouncing off the floor like an idiot, which is what we all did when we started, diving rebreathers. It's not easy.
It's not easy. Petrol or Perdix, two different uses. I would say for most people, the Perdix 2 will do what you need.
Yeah.
If you're going to go into rebreather diving, then you may want a petrol but only if it's going to read, if it has a connector that's going to read into your scrubber, into your loop to tell you what your PO2 is.
Petrol, yeah.
Other than that, I would go with the Perdix.
Yeah, the Perdix is smaller and
Smaller.
it's
I like
it's
it.
nice.
I think we have to wrap it up soon. Here.
Yeah. We're gonna wrap it up pretty soon.
Petrol 3 for CCR. Yep. Yukon Sean Holland, I would agree.
What?
I agree. Petrol 3
Yeah.
for a CCR.
Yeah. Most sketchy moment in a cave. I mean,
Most
I don't
people put some Vaseline on, or they cut off the top
Don't
part of
do
their
that, by the
mustache.
way. Yeah,
you see what I mean?
that, but not
You
the
see what I
Vaseline.
mean?
It will ruin your mask.
So right here, like to shave off that top half,
Yeah.
and it'll seal against the non-mustache part. But some people say they don't
me-
have a problem.
Yeah, I don't shave or do anything. I just found a mask that doesn't leak with a mustache. I don't know how it works. What it's the science behind it? I'm not going to figure it out.
But it
I
works.
just put it on my face and it works. It doesn't leak. So just find a mask that fits. But for those of you who want to try stuff, by the way, one of the things that I tried before I had the mask that I use now is the defog. Instead of Vaseline, you can just use defog. That's not going to destroy your mask. And it works as well
Smart.
as Vaseline. Yeah.
Hey, Garrett, we use the 4-pin, and I'll tell you why. Why do we use that versus hardwired? Because we take our petrols between, in my case, I'm using 3 different KISS rebreathers.
Right.
So sometimes and not all of them have the same scrubber head either, right? The new one doesn't have the same scrubber head size as the Sidewinder and the Spirit. So I like to be able to pop it off, put it on another one, and ready
If
to
you
go.
have multiple rebreathers,
Or let's say for example, oh no, my head is messed up, Gus. Some wiring's messed up or whatever. Can I use yours?
Yeah.
Boop.
Switch.
Pop into Gus's. More flexibility, and the 4-pin is super reliable.
Solid.
So I just like it way better.
Absolutely. Hey, just reminding everyone, the meetup, divetalkmeetup.com. Sign up, register. You have like a year to pay. You don't have to pay it all up front. We made it as inexpensive as we could. It's actually cheaper than Cozumel, than the last one to go. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be in Bonaire. Tons of prices. Tons of surprises.
Oh wow, they're
as
going to
well.
be in Dive Talk fins.
Yes.
Yukon and
Absolutely
Militia.
coming up. We'll make
Thank you.
an
too.
announcement when the fins are available. The Deep Six Dive Talk edition.
That's so cool.
Hopefully everyone gets those. But yeah, thank you all for being here with us, for tuning in. Almost 200 viewers. That's awesome. People watching us.
And Mike, good point. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Terry.
I didn't even know you were sitting there policing this thing.
You got to make a couple more mods so they can help Terry.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know what's happening. I don't fully understand
It's just
it.
It's just
So it's
spammers.
an artificial thing, yeah.
Yeah. It's just spammers.
So thank you for that.
But yes, thank you everyone for tuning in. Friday, new video coming out Friday.
Good one.
I hope you like it. Woody bragging about his gift. Of course,
I
that
wouldn't
made
do
the video.
that. I would not brag about it. I was just wondering if you got one of these.
And
And that's not bragging.
I
That's just a
didn't.
question.
I didn't. Thank you for bringing that
I'm
up.
going to show
but,
them what I got.
Yes, thank you everyone, and we'll see you on the next one. Put that rock away. That's not.
You want to see the note?